Still Poddable, Still Poddable. The Boston Celtics, Still Poddable, Still Poddable.
Oh, yeah.
Still Poddable, Still Poddable. The Boston Celtics, Still Poddable, Still Poddable.
Banner 18. J. King, Jam, Packard in the B-Roll.
Still Poddable, Still Poddable.
The Jay-Z White in the catalog.
Still Poddable, Still Poddable.
The kids are legends to go.
Still Poddable, Still Poddable, Still Poddable. The Boston Celtics, Still Poddable, Still Poddable.
Oh, yeah.
I just have to go to a bathroom.
Welcome back to Still Poddable, the best Celtics podcast here on the Lord's Internet. I am Sam Jam Packard, joined as always by Brian B. Robb of MassLive.com, as well as Jay King from The Athletic. This is the free version of Still Poddable. We are a Monday through Friday Celtics podcast. Go to patreon.com/Still Poddable if you want the show every single day, Monday through Friday. But this is the free version. We're on the CLNS YouTube page. We are brought to you today by Prize Picks and the Game Time app. If you want to save money on either of those, use the promo code CLNS. Again, this is the weekly free version, but we are here for you every single day, Monday through Friday. That is patreon.com/Still Poddable. Now, boys, last time we were together, we drafted some teams. We drafted the best teams, teammates of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. It was a fun time. We did it out on the streets of Cambridge. Lovely. Thanks to the Druid for hosting us. But we may have had a slight oversight while drafting. Jay, I think you're the most to blame because
why am I the most to blame?
Because you drafted Aaron Baines, a center, over this guy. And you needed a center. You needed a starting center, and you didn't draft Time Lord Robert Williams. I drafted Terry Rozier over him. I think that's defensible. B-Rob drafted Will Hardy over him, which I think is also defensible. But you drafted Aaron Baines.
Wait, who is your center, Packard? Porzingis?
Porzingis, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
They don't matter.
He would have fit great next to Robert Williams, honestly.
They're too tall. You can't have two tall guys in the. Just look at the Timberwolves.
Gafford and Porzingis was a pretty solid duo for the Wizards.
You're just trying to deflect from the fact that you took Aaron Baines over Robert Williams.
I have no excuse. I somehow blanked on Robert Williams' existence.
We collectively did, though. We collectively all forgot.
How was that possible?
I did think of him towards the end, but
no, you didn't.
I did. No, I swear to
God. You would
God.
have brought it up. You would.
No. I didn't want you guys. I did not want you guys to take him. You guys were throwing out Tice Baines, and I'll be honest, Jay.
We were in a Tice Baines mood.
You were in a Tice Baines mood.
Take him, but then you didn't take him.
Because I didn't think I could take Hauser. Like, I'll defend you, Jay. Like, Rob Williams was phenomenal, but if you're looking for a guy that's going to be on the court when you need him,
I would have absolutely picked Robert Williams. So,
yeah, I get it. Like, you're going to take him,
especially with the rest of my roster. The rest of my roster was Derek White, Kyrie Irving, Jalen, Tatum, and Kemba. Like, we needed just someone to erase everything at the rim. And hand up.
Yeah.
I fucked up, but you fucked up, and he fucked up. We fucked up collectively.
But that's what it's all about. It's about accountability. And it's about, that's how you own it.
You get Robert Williams' existence.
I don't know, but don't tell Forsberg. Forsberg will be upset with us.
Surprising.
You got to call out the mistakes, and this is how you get better moving forward. Because next time we do this draft, which hopefully won't be for another year, we're not going to forget Robert Williams, and we're not going to forget any players. And that's how you get better, and that's how you be a true growth mindset. That's how you be a Kaizen mental alpha. It's that continuous improvement, and you acknowledge the mistakes, you own up to your mistakes, and then you correct them moving forward. And in that grand spirit of continual improvement, on today's podcast, and probably tomorrow's podcast, if we're being likely, we are going to go through the Celtics roster and try to identify the thing that each player needs to get better at. How can they continuously improve? Because they already set the bar. They won the championship, but having a growth mindset is about continuing to grow, continuing to get better. And each of these players are going to go into the offseason or have been in the offseason working on a bunch of stuff. For Jaylen Brown, it's aquatics, basic aquatic skills, which I think wouldn't be on my list of things he needed to improve upon, but apparently that's helping him out. So we're going to go through the roster. I don't think the three of us need to have individual things. We'll just talk amongst ourselves and try to figure out, what's the thing that's going to make this team better in each of these individual players. Jay, you told me we're going to do this alphabetically. I went on Basketball Reference, sorted by alphabet. O'Shea Brissett's first, so get him off the list. And the first guy we have is Jaylen Brown.
Seems like you need to check on an updated roster.
I'm on the 24-25 Boston Celtics roster.
It doesn't sound like you are.
I'll send you the link, brother.
O'Shea is holding on for dear life that he's still on this roster.
Drew Peterson's still on it?
So Jaylen Brown is first alphabetically. And
internet security. Internet security is the biggest thing he needs to work on because he got hacked today.
He definitely needs to work on some internet security. Those tweets, it's like hours and hours after they went up. They're still there.
Oh yeah, nothing.
So I haven't gotten through. What are the highlights? Give me the highlights. Give me the spark notes of the.
It's too much. It's a lot of Bitcoin stuff. It's a lot of nonsense. Nothing good.
Yeah.
Occasionally telling some people to like fuck off, but like nothing too scandalous. Just mostly nonsense.
Yeah, there was nothing great. It started off by saying like fuck Nike, or that was one of the first tweets. And so they started off actually like trying to kind of sound like him, and then it quickly deteriorated into not sounding like him at all.
If you guys could hack any one person's account and send a tweet, whose account would it be, and what would that tweet be?
I've never spent a second thinking about this.
Yeah,
before.
That's a trap question.
Think about it now. Spin those mind grapes. Create some beautiful wine.
It would probably be.
It'd probably be like a fake Shams tweet or something. It'd just be like Nick Freeman's been the new coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. Like, something to raise the pub with my boy. Get the publicity going for him.
That will help his credibility.
That'd be pretty funny, actually. I'm in. I'll help.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Collectively, we can all work on that.
We'll
you know Shams, Jay. You probably worked on a couple stories with him. Just get his password.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. But problem is he's got like 23 hours of screen time a day, so there's not much time. It would be down
like that. There's no staying power with that one.
How many? You think he has like 4-factor authorization too? The news
not 2 or 3 factor, just straight to 4.
Just straight to 4. Yeah,
I don't even think he needs it. He's just constantly on there. Just
he is
his own authentication.
All right, back to the nature at hand. Jaylen Brown, what does he need to improve upon coming off
the matter at hand? Even.
Yeah, well, what did I say? I just kind of talk at some point.
The nature at hand.
Well, let's get the nature and matter. That's all of the physical existence is nature and matter.
So Jaylen improved a lot of his stuff this past season, and really took strides in so many areas, defensively, decision making wise, all around. Just gotten great. Like he's always been in great shape. Gotten like some of the best shape of anyone in the NBA. The one part of his game that sort of slid a little, drawing free throws. And to me, he should be the best on the Celtics at that. He should be drawing a ton of free throws. He should be getting to the line. He can get to the cup. He's become a smarter decision maker. Once he gets there, that's probably the reason why his free throw attempts slipped. However, the Celtics were 25th in free throw attempt rate, and that's one of the blemishes on them statistically. He's one of the people who can change that. And I don't want him to sacrifice. He should not sacrifice any of the additional like poise that he's shown. So if he has to do that to draw more free throws, forget about it. But if he can keep that, hold on to that, still spray the ball around to the perimeter, still keep his assists up, his turnovers down, and just get back to getting the free throw line a little bit more, that would be helpful.
I'm going defensive rebounding for Jalen. Worst defensive rebound rate of his career at 13.4. And heading into next year with Porzingis out, I think they're going to need some help in that department. With Tatum does a great job rebounding, Al does, and I think Jalen, like, they didn't need him to do it last year, but he can clearly get in there, get his hands dirty, and I think they're going to need him to do more of that. So maybe it's less of an improvement, more of a need for the team. But
isn't that sort of just a factor of the role they use him in defensively, though? Like he's guarding the best player on the other team, often at half court, often picking up full court, often just very far away from the basket. Whereas Jason Tatum, like, guards centers so that he's always around the basket.
True, but I mean, Tatum's like one of the best rebounders, period, in the league for forwards. I think Jalen is an average rebounder, even when he's away from the hoop.
Fair.
So I think if there's one, we're nitpicking, but I think that's one area where he needs to, get in there, get his hands dirty when he is not away from the hoop. So that's where I'm going with.
I thought we were going to try and come to a consensus, and we were all going to try to select one thing because I have.
It's clearly cybersecurity now. I mean,
you don't have to pick your own thing. You can add on to ours. You can. This is just a conversation. This is a podcast.
Oh, like a podcast.
You're the host here.
Okay, the host. You say. I think it's something he's gotten a lot better at, but I still think there's room for improvement in his game, and it's still just playmaking. I think his turnovers came down, and he had an ability to kind of make a little bit extra passes, but it wasn't as consistent. And I think if the ball is going to be in his hands as much as it is, I think he can just has more room for improvement as just as a passer, as setting other guys up. I think he did a really good job of taking steps towards limiting those turnovers, but in terms of just like seeing the floor, especially as well as Tatum has, and making the right plays that way, I think we saw a big leap with Brown that last year, but I think he can get even better of that, and that just makes him so much more dynamic of an offensive threat. And if anyone on this team can add three like major things to their game, it's going to be Jaylen Brown. I've just been kind of consistently impressed with his ability to get better every single year. But like I think statistically, both Jay and B-Rob, you're both right. Lowest defensive rebounding rate of his career, and second consecutive year, his free throw rate had gone down. So it's weird to be like, do all this kind of like how they need to improve because they just won a championship. But that's what's having the growth mindset and the Kaizen approach is all about. You have to continuously improve. And so hopefully Jalen will be listening to us after he cleans up his Twitter. He'll be in the gym. How much of the water aerobics and workouts do you think is working towards any of these goals?
It surely helps his physique, I would imagine, which could probably help with drawing free throws, could probably help with blocking out and getting rebounds. It could probably
do everything.
Maybe it helps his focus and clarity and therefore his decision making.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the sincere response to what was a very dumb question. Moving on, we're not going to do J.D. Davidson. We're not going to do Tristan Enaruna or Ron Harper Jr. So next person actually in the rotation, this is alphabetically by last name, Sam Hauser. B-Rob, what do you think Sam Hauser needs to improve upon or think he needs to work on most this offseason?
Oh, there's just so much. I mean, this is actually a tough one. I guess he's only shooting 55% from 2-point range on those 1.2 attempts per game. And I want to see more dunks from Hauser, or just, come on. We have to, if you're shooting, you're getting to the lane and you're dunking or laying it up. So you should be shooting better than 55% from 2, damn it. Because if those are jump shots, those should be threes.
Team high, 83% 3-point attempt rate. Like the large majority of his shots are coming from three. And I'm with you though. I do think we saw a little bit of it, like someone in the postseason to do that pump fake and do like a dribble pull up or like to go to the rim. I think the thing that immediately pops in mind is like Duncan Robinson has kind of added something similar to his game.
That's just what I was gonna say.
Because I feel like we've had this exact conversation multiple times about Hauser during the playoffs. It's just like that's the next elevation or next point of the go-to shooter is to just have that little. If they're just trying to run you off the line, have that counter. And I don't think Hauser has that in his bag just yet.
He needs to take the Duncan Robinson playmaking leap, which is like Duncan Robinson. I mean, you wouldn't really call him a playmaker, right? But he increased from 1.1 2-point attempts per game to 3. He increased from 1.1 assists per game to almost 3, 2.8. And so he had a playmaking leap. And it's just like because of how much gravity he has as a 3-point shooter, it doesn't take much to just get by someone, get in the lane, make a little something happen. And Sam Hauser has similar gravity at the 3-point arc. All like Duncan Robinson, one of the best 3-point shooters in the game. I think there's another layer to his game that we haven't seen yet. I think he's capable of adding just the slightest off the dribble game. And if he does that, then it's a way to keep the ball movement. It's a way to just take advantage of the advantages he creates, capitalize on the advantages he creates. And Duncan Robinson playmaking leap. Because the defense got good. People attacked him.
I feel like he also reached his upper limit of defense. Like I don't know how much more of a defensive.
See, that's not Kaizen. You talk about Kaizen, and then you say,
"You're right." That was a very closed mindset approach to me. I took. You're right, Jay. That's more accountability. I appreciate that. So you think Sam Hauser can get a lot better as a defender?
Why not?
Touche, my friend. Next up, this one I actually was thinking about earlier, and I don't have a great answer for, but
I've got it.
Drew Holiday.
I bet Jay has it.
Just eliminate like the two insanely dumb things.
No, that's key to his game. you can't take the nonsense out of Drew Holiday's game. He's won a lot. It just does. It's not how it works. Everything else falls apart if he takes those away.
See, I think he can actually. Marcus Smart thrived on nonsense. Smart.
You think Drew Holiday doesn't thrive on nonsense?
Drew Holiday does not thrive on nonsense. Drew Holiday just does nonsense from time to time. Like he thrives on being like Mr. Solid, Mr. Dependable, and then every once in a while he just short circuits and does some stupid shit.
Yeah, but sometimes he short circuits and takes a very weird transition 3 that goes in and is quite useful. Like you kind of want him to still be aggressive and still like looking for a shot. If anything, I think he should shoot more threes.
I like the wild card element. Like when you're 43% 3-point shooter from 3, you can buy one of those a game. But I get like big picture. You're right. Like there are 4 of those. You're like, what the hell are you doing? But when he doesn't get enough touches, that's a way of maybe appeasing himself. So I see it as something to take out, but I wouldn't mind the wild card nature of it.
I do think you can call. I love the insane 3-point attempts. I think there are sometimes Drew Holiday will throw a pass that has no business being thrown. And looking at the stats, looking at his usage rate, he had a way more turnovers. I think he was 3rd on the team in turnovers and had like the 6th highest usage rate or something like that. I just made up those numbers, but that's what I feel like they were when I looked at them about 15 minutes ago in Basketball Reference. So I somewhat agree that like sometimes he just throws some ridiculous passes that are just like, but I'm also with you, B-Rob. I just kind of want that wild card. I want that crazy Drew Holiday moment. Those moments are fun.
Just cut the brakes.
You guys are pure sickos.
The other thing I was going to throw in quickly, he is turning into Al Horford at the free throw line, which really has been a problem. But he's 1.1 free throw attempts per 36 minutes. Not great. And a slight uptick there probably would be a good thing for the team's 25th overall free throw rate.
Yeah, and I do wonder if that's him or just he was learning how to be the fifth option.
Yeah.
Because obviously in Milwaukee, he had the ball in his hands all the time. Before that, he usually had the ball in his hands a lot, if not all the time. And I think we saw like in the playoffs, at times they used him in like an attacking role. And they had him go after Donovan Mitchell to try to tire him out. And it was like he still had it. He could still do it. He could still get to the cup and overpower people. He just like is totally fine playing his role. So I agree.
He's never been a big free throw guy, though. I'm just like, he's the most he averages 4 a game, and just looking at his free throw rate. Like,
yeah, he's such an anti-grifter. Such an anti-grifter. Like he doesn't try to take charges. He doesn't. He's just like an ethical man.
So maybe less chaos, less ethics.
Less chaos, less ethics.
Yeah.
Basketball ethics.
Business.
You just mentioned him, B-Rob. Al Horford. Now, slight tangent of a story today. I've been in Philadelphia 3 days. I think I've worn Celtics gear all 3 days when I'm walking around the city. Just trying to provoke the locals, just trying to get them to say something so I can be like, oh, can't hear you over the ring.
Breaks a bottle over your stupid
Today, I wore my Al Horford is good t-shirt, which I think was like, if I was going to get a reaction, that would be the one that would be the most provoking because he was not good for Philadelphia. And I feel like they have like a special place of hatred in their heart. I've not gotten one comment from any Sixers fan. They don't care about the Sixers in this town. It's not a basketball town. No one shows up to the game. They all care about the birds. But speaking of birds, I was wearing my Al Horford is good t-shirt, and then a bird took a shit on my shoulder. So the birds of Philadelphia have more heart than the Sixers fans.
Is that a boo bird?
That is good luck, though.
Is it? It
is good luck to get shit on by a bird.
Well,
allegedly.
There you go. Allegedly. We'll find out.
Well, you're going to have good luck. But what does Al Horford need to do to get better?
I've got to go for absolutely nothing. I've got nothing. Al Horford is the perfect.
Just continue aging gracefully.
Just continue aging. Continue to look like you're 30 years old. Like just maintain. Stay out
of 65 games, maybe 60
stay out of
games
traffic. Right. Maybe just take it easier more. Don't get in too much trouble in the paint. That's the perfect guy at age 38 now, and it's just keeping him in a bubble wrap as he was last season.
They need him.
2 years ago, he was 9th in Defensive Player of the Year voting. 3 years ago, who knew?
How about that?
The man is so necessary to them in the playoffs. Like, just so crucial, especially now, because I think the 76ers are going to be better and the Bucks are going to be better. And he's the guy against Embiid and he's the guy against Giannis still to this day in 2024, presumably 2025. So, yeah, just stay healthy. Stay physically fit, stay as mobile as you can, and because especially if Kristaps Porzingis struggles physically, which seems likely based on his history, Al Horford is still going to be really, really important.
I think he needs to take more threes. He took a bit of a dip last year. His three-point rate went down a little bit. No need for him to get, like you mentioned, his free throw attempt rate. I don't care. I don't want him having any physical contact inside the paint. He should be a defensive. Yeah, you have to be in the paint on defense, but just hang out, pick and pop threes, and just be healthy and survive until Kristaps gets back, and then just coast. I think that's the beautiful plan for Al Horford. He needs to do nothing better because he's already perfect.
Let's take a break here to hear from our sponsor, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. And Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, which I think is very useful so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your players get injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, your picks are still live. I know personally with Prize Picks, I'll be looking at the NFL season here. Jacoby Brissett is going to be the quarterback for the Patriots, so I'll be looking what his passing yards are out of the gate. Probably will take the under on that one. So download the Prize Picks app today and use the code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game.
Another big man who is actually, I think, is going to need to step up, especially in the early parts of the season with Kristaps out, Luke Cornett. Is this the year he starts chucking threes? Jay, I know you hate the idea of him chucking threes. You say never chuck a three, Luke Cornett, is what you've said in the past.
I don't hate the idea of him chucking threes. However, I do hate the idea of him chucking threes if he continues to be like a 34%, 32% career three-point shooter. He just wasn't a good enough three-point shooter to do it and force the defense to react to him. And so now he's shelved that idea. He's become a dominator inside physically from time to time. His offensive rebound rate was great. His block rate was great. Probably had the best season of his career. So I'm going to surprise you here. I'm going to say he's got to push that 3-point percentage up just a little bit, and then don't launch him. Don't shoot him as much as you used to, but every once in a while, just let it fly. But keep in mind that you really, really earn your money around the rim. You really, really earn your money by being a deterrent to the other side and being a really smart guy and being someone who allows other people around you to flourish. You don't have to flourish all the time personally, although last year he did more than he ever has. But yeah, I think he's just gotta up the 3-point percentage just a little bit so that he can statistically shoot those and it'll help out.
His win share numbers were absolutely nuts last year.
He had an unreal year.
0.248 per 48 is just crazy for probably the best on the team, to Jay's point. And it's kind of wild that after that, he still just got a minimum deal. I imagine he probably had offers for a little bit more elsewhere. I like to come back. But yeah, I like Jay's taking some threes, especially with Porzingis out. We know he's
more than one.
Take more than one. Take more than one.
3 games.
Keep him honest. And here's the other thing I want to see from Cornett. Cornett contest. It's a little old now. It's a little dated. Let's think of something else here. Let's think a variation of the Cornett contest. Like maybe jumping he goes backwards. Like some type of maybe
YMCA.
Yeah. Something there. Something fresh to throw him off balance because he's going to get a lot of minutes early in the year. And we know Joe is not the biggest fan of the Cornett contest. So I'll be curious to see what he has up his sleeve for there.
Why didn't Joe like the Cornett contest? Because Joe feels like he likes anything that is did he just not believe in it? Didn't believe it contributed
towards
put
him in a position for rebounding, probably, is my guess. I don't know. I never talked to Joe about it, but that'd be my guess.
I have one thing I think Luke Cornett should work on. And that's doing more podcast appearances on Still Poddable. I feel like he could really take his game up. Maybe a weekly, maybe a monthly appearance on Still Poddable. He's got a lot of personality. He's a smart guy. He's a well-read man. I feel like he would deal with my nonsense questions pretty well. I could throw him some curveballs. He'd, take him opposite field, drop him in right field for a single. It would be a good time. So I think Luke Cornett can branch out more as a media personality because I think he's a fascinating guy, and he always has a home here on Still Poddable.
He also needs to be ready to play more minutes because Porzingis is going to be out. Porzingis is going to be out a while. Horford, you're going to want to minimize the risk of him getting injured or worn down during the regular season. And Kornet, like I think 16 minutes a game-ish is his career high. Let me check that. 17 minutes per game is his career high.
Yeah, but that's when he was a three-point specialist.
Will he be right around that? Will he be above that? He's just prepare his body for more of a minute load.
And that's a really good point, Jay, because I believe he got hurt twice in non-game action last year. I think he was out for I think he got hurt in warm-ups at one point.
He did have some tough warm-up.
And then it happened in practice again.
One of my buddies in college, this poor fucking prick. So he had to sit out for like half the season for NCAA eligibility while they like determined whether he was eligible. And the NCAA finally finished up his case. Like he was ready to play. And it literally, pretty sure it was his first game back. We were in layup lines and he landed on a fucking loose basketball and sprained an ankle and was out another few weeks. Like it was the worst luck I've ever seen in my life. He had a little Luke Kornet in him. So yeah, Luke's got to stay healthy during layup lines.
Landing on basketball is ugly. I don't care for that image.
Yeah, it was tough.
Drew Peterson is not on the team. He's a Pelican. So next up is Kristaps Porzingis. And this is a tough one because my initial reaction is just to like be healthy, but he's not going to be healthy for at least until 2025. And so I would say the obvious one is just like to take care of his body, but let's try to think outside the bun.
Keep working on his screen game, the screens. Like for him, being able to read the screen and whether it's dive to the hoop or pop or like just keep a guy on his hip, like he can just totally fuck up the other team when he's screening right, just because of how much attention you have to pay to him. If you switch it, how he can kill a switch because he's so big and so skilled and so productive. Like you just have to always be worried about him. So the more decisions he makes right on screening, the better.
Do you think that, like, I feel like as the season progressed, his post-ups on switches got farther and farther away from the basket. Do you think that was a product of, like, just teams being more physical with him, or is, like, not making the right screen decision, or was I just seeing things out there?
I think part of it was probably the change in officiating, but I'm not really sure. I haven't really studied whether it was farther out. I know his post-up efficiency dipped for a little while before it kind of popped back up, but he had a ridiculous year, like just posting up, and what he adds to their offense is so good. But sometimes he can get knocked off a screen. Sometimes it's just like not as crisp as you'd like. And I think the better he is on that, like he just opens up everything when he does it right. And when he does it right, it's like not sure there are answers to stopping the Celtics.
Yeah, I love that one. I think like the angles on the screens with him in particular, like that's where, and I do think a lot of it will come with getting familiar more year two with these guys, knowing how they like to position themselves. We know he had the chemistry of Jalen out of the gate, but if that he can work with that with Derek, with Tatum, or with Drew, like Jay, that really turn what's already a crazy good offense into even more impossible to contend if he's able to hold those well and create even more separation.
One thing I have for him is consistency on the defensive end. And I feel like it's something Jalen highlighted last year, where it'd be like sometimes Kristaps is like one of the more dominant rim protectors, and he's like very, very engaged on the defensive end of the court. And then sometimes he's not, and our entire defense kind of suffers when he's not fully there. And I don't know if this is a product of like being physically ready to do it, or if it's like a mental kind of focus thing. And obviously they kind of survived without him in the playoffs, but him being on the court, being like very much locked in on the defensive end makes them just that much more dominant of a team. And I feel like we got some moments of Kristaps very good defender, and then some moments of where like you didn't really feel Kristaps' presence defensively. So I think it's just like consistency on the defensive end from him on a night-to-night basis, which I think it might be a tall ask, especially as he's like coming back from injury.
That's a good one though, because some nights it was like, man, Kristaps, like, is he going to struggle against like big physical guys? Like, is he going to struggle against the best athletes? And you're like, is he soft? And then
like Jokic put him through the basket both times.
Yeah, well, Jokic is
I know, but you'd want him to put up some more resistance than like there were some times like that. I was like, oh, is Kristaps kind of the liability right now on the defensive end?
And then Embiid too.
Great.
Embiid had his way with him early in the season.
But like, then other nights you're like, no, nobody's gonna beat him with physicality. He's just a monster. And so there were definitely like two versions of Kristaps, like Jalen kind of alluded to. And when he was a good one, there weren't many people who could score on him or score on the Celtics.
Next up, the Heave God, P Rabbit, Fast PP, got married this summer, so kudos to him. What do you got, B-Rob? What do you think Peyton Pritchard needs to work on heading into next season?
It's tough. There's not a lot here. I'll say this is an improvement, but this would be very tough for him to sustain. His shooting at the rim last year was insanely good compared to his career. He was up to 76% within 3 feet in his first 3 years, were 63, 62, 61%. So Peyton Pritchard can continue to be, like, we know he gets his nose in there for offensive rebounds, but he had the first step to get by guys. If he can sustain his finishing, which was meh early in his career, and keep building on that while getting to the rim more and more, like that turns him from being like, oh, that's a fun backup guard, to being like, oh, maybe this is an eventual starter for a really good team down the line if he can sustain that part of this game.
Just looking at his shooting splits, he was so fucking good last year.
Yeah, there's not a lot to improve here.
Career year, and just like at all distances, went from 49% to 59%. Better from 3-point range. I mean, he wasn't 41% the way he was his first 2 years, but just like a real, played 82 games, just a phenomenal year for Peyton Pritchard last year. This is a tough one. I don't know, Jay. Do you have answers for what he can improve upon?
This is gonna sound like weird.
Got to improve the heaves.
No, I would like to see him become a little more ambitious. Like, one of the things that set him apart last year was his assist to turnover ratio. He never made mistakes. He shot an insane efficiency at the rim. Like, he was great backup guard. I feel like there's more. I feel like he could drag out a little bit more off the dribble game. I feel like he could be a little bit more daring. And I know they're probably like telling him that the decision making is huge and the assist turnover ratio is super important, but like, I just feel like sometimes he should just be a little more reckless.
And so you don't like it when Drew does it, but you want more of it from Peyton Pritchard.
Yes.
All right. I just can't see it. He plays such a controlled game. I just don't even know. And he gets reckless in shooting like deep threes. Do you just mean like more attacking toward, like going towards the basket?
Yeah, mostly going towards the basket. Like, if you look at, he shot insane percentages, like B-Rob said, at the rim. He took just about the same, a little less 2-point attempts per 36 minutes than he did the previous year. And it's like, he's gotten really good at that. And he's become great at like getting his shoulder into a guy and kind of pushing him off and finishing. Like, just do a little more of it. I think there's more there that he can kind of dig deeper for.
Football season is back, and it is your opportunity to get in on the action with Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time Picks makes it easier to save on sports, concert, comedy, theater, and more. Any tickets that you want, you can get through the Game Time app. They have all-in pricing. This feature allows you to show the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Seat views, panoramic views from the seat in the app before you buy. That comes with a lowest price guarantee, or if not, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And then Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use the promo code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Moving on to the pride of Portugal and Utah State University, Nini Namias Keita. I think the obvious one is to stop goaltending. Just don't goaltend every single time you play a basketball game. Is there a place on Basketball Reference I can look up number of goaltends? Because I think he's averaging 1 per game. But do you guys have anything better than that?
Just not getting lost on defense as much. I guess that kind of like he did an admirable job when he got spots, but there are also games where you're just a few times he turned into a bit of a mess when pick and roll defense, which happens with guys like his size when they have to come out to the perimeter at times. But yeah, I think defense first and foremost, that's the area where if he's consistent there, if he's solid there, if he minimizes the mistakes on that end of the floor, that's when he's going to be able to maybe build some consistent minutes together when Porzingis and Al are out.
Jay, your thoughts on Keita?
Yeah, I think it's just the defensive positioning. Like, he really hasn't played very many minutes in the NBA, and he's been around the league for years now. But I think there's still a level of rawness to his game. Some of it comes out in stuff like the goaltending, which is just like he had some unfathomable goaltends, like just some absolutely outrageous goaltends to the point where I think someone asked Joe if it was like Patrick Ewing, when Patrick Ewing used to want to get goaltends to like demoralize people and intimidate people. And that was asked in a post-game press conference or pre-game press conference. And Joe was kind of like, no, I just don't want him to give up free baskets. Like, I would prefer him not to give up free baskets. And, but that's part of it. Like, there's a lot there. Like, there's just, he does so many good things, and he does so many good things instinctually. He almost reminds you of Robert Williams, who we do remember exists now. And in the way that he can just like pile up good things when he's on a basketball court. He can make good passes. He can block shots. He can offensive rebound. He dunks. And it's like, wow. But it's just the little things like positioning and stuff holding him back. And I think if he gets some of that a little bit more, then maybe there's a place for him for rotation minutes every once in a while.
So I thought I found a goaltending, some stats on it. I went to P by P stats, and it's it says 23-24, and it has leading in goaltending violations, but it has Daniel Tice still on the Celtics. And so I don't think this is the most accurate. It doesn't even
What's
have
up with these fraudulent years you keep finding?
It says 23-24.
He's still on the team in spirit. That's fine.
According to these stats, JaVale McGee led the league for the Lakers with 33 of them. So
okay, that might be
it might be
maybe from 22. Are we gonna skip Baylor here, or
I'm not familiar enough with his game.
Yeah, I don't.
How can he improve?
Right, how can he improve from his
play better
league performance? Yeah, hit more shots.
Yeah, we'll skip him. On to Jaden Springer we go. Another guy not too familiar with his game at the NBA level. I think just continuing to find a role. The stuff that I saw in the one summer league game that he played, just the point guard stuff, I didn't know that he had that. And I feel like if there is a place for him in the NBA long term, just keep harnessing that. His defense is already a weapon. His athleticism is like very rare and fast twitch, but he needs to find an offensive role. And maybe it is as a point guard. He did look really good as a point guard, doing some point guard stuff in summer league, but he didn't play long, obviously. And you want to see him do it against NBA competition, not as the fourth-year guy in summer league, just kind of beating up on guys who haven't been around professional basketball as long as he has.
Yeah, I think it's a really good, like, this team has the shooters to put around him in theory and to make that work on certain nights where they're down 2 or 3 guys. And then you have to make a decision. Okay, do we want to go small and have Springer unleash him defensively? But in order for that to work, he has to be competent on offense. What that looks like on this team, who the hell knows? But finding that role, as you laid out, is the key. He's been around for 3 or 4 months with this group. Huge training camp for him coming up to see, especially with just how, he's making $4+ million on a team and costing this team, 3-4 times that with the tax stuff. So either he's contributing or he's becomes, potential trade salary matching bait like quickly. And a lot of that will probably be dependent on what happens in the first few months.
And maybe point guard isn't even the route for him. Like, in what world is he going to really handle the ball? I know I said he looks very intriguing as a point guard, and because of the lack of 3-point shooting that he's shown so far, it feels like having the ball in his hands is good. But like, what variation of a Celtics lineup would have him with the ball in his hands a lot? Like Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. Like, you're down the list of ball handlers, basically no matter who you're playing with. So yeah, just find a way to contribute offensively so that your ball pressure, defense, and your ability to just play make defensively can get you on the court.
I'm still working on the goaltending thing. I have nothing to say about James Springer.
Keep working, baby.
I got the updated one.
What do we got?
He's not in the top 30 in terms of goaltending. But Al Horford is on there. He had 8 goaltends last year. Daniel Tice is also on there. He also had 8 goaltends. So I'll keep looking for the specific Keita stat, but I did realize I had to press the update button to get the more. Oh, here he is. Nimi Keita, 6 goaltends in 333 minutes.
That's magical. That's more than. That's just magical.
1 goaltend every 65 minutes.
He played 28 games and he had 6 goaltends. That's impressive.
Hero.
Moving on from Jaden Springer to Jason Tatum.
3-point shooting.
Be bold. Just say make more 3-point shots.
Jumpers.
Be efficient.
Return to becoming a sharpshooter. That's it.
He doesn't even need to be a sharpshooter. He just needs to be not low 30s.
Or high 20s like he was in the playoffs. Well, I guess he doesn't have to be that because they won a title and absolutely blitzed their way to a title with him in the high 20s. Partly because he did everything else at an obscenely high level. But it would be nice for the Celtics if he could get back to just splashing 3-pointers.
I'm even surprised he shot 37% last year. I feel like that was higher than I would have expected. He was 35 when he scored 30 points a game.
The funny thing about him, like, just totally making no shots in the playoffs is that the second half of the season, he actually shot really well. Like, he was fantastic during the second half of the season. And then it just went away as the second that the playoffs arrived. After the All-Star break, he shot 40.9% over 22 games on three-pointers. He was 70 for 171.
Keep doing that.
Just work on his streakiness.
Just be sustainably great for an entire season. I mean, it's not that hard.
Cut and dry. He also, I mean, could
become a better Olympics player.
Yeah. Work on his honesty. Don't say you're going to come off the bench and then not come off the bench.
Yeah, do you think he got punished by Kerr because he said he was going to come off the bench for the Celtics, and then they're like, "I'll show you coming off the bench."
Yeah, that would be, or just maybe he comes off he should come off the bench against the Warriors in Boston. That would be the move of all moves. And then go
really
for like
show
50.
people he doesn't care.
Yeah,
that would be pretty fun.
That would be some really spicy stuff right there.
Is there anything beyond the shooting that? Well, let me ask you guys this question: was last year Jason Tatum's best year as an NBA player?
Yeah.
Yes.
Easily.
Yeah. I would say without a doubt.
And so, how does he get?
Certainly his best playoffs.
How does he get better than that?
By shooting
threes, yeah.
There's got to be other stuff he's working on. There's got to be other things he can do.
Not real. Like, go through his numbers. I mean,
I'm looking at him. I'm searching
everything in the playoff. Like, the rebounding is phenomenal. His assists are going up. His turnovers were going down in the playoffs. He's guarding 5 positions. Yeah, it's really
maybe like have the driving mindset that he had against Dallas all year round.
Yeah, I guess.
Because he averaged something like 20 drives per game in the finals. And I think he's capable of doing that all the time. It's really hard to play like that, especially if you're 6'10" and however many pounds he is. But he has the force, he has the handle, he has the size and physicality to just get to the rim at will. And sometimes it would be nice to see more of that. That being said, like, his ability to play within the team concept and submit to the team is like, that's part of what elevated the Celtics to a level that nobody else could come close to touching this past season. But I would say, like, just constant attack, constant.
I think there's one thing that guys would benefit from is just some speediness after the game. Just like get in, get out, answer some questions. Like, there's no reason to wait an hour and a half to 2 hours after a game. There's many people who are trying to do their jobs, and this is the most inside basketball that
nobody will care about.
No, people might
other
care.
than the beat writers.
Well, the beat writers are going to continue to bitch about it, and so for the fans not to have to hear about it, everyone would be a little bit happier if Tatum just answer questions immediately and then go change and shower. You know, you don't have to just sit.
It would change my life, honestly, if he answered questions in his jersey right after a game.
And he's done it
would
before.
Change my life.
Didn't he do it in the playoffs? Like after one game?
When that game in Dallas, he did it, and everyone just like gave a standing ovation when he came in. Not really, but we all thought
in our heads. In our heads.
Yeah.
Along those lines, I think he could be show more of his personality. Now that you won a championship, make some more jokes. Try to be let's not speak entirely in cliches after the game. If you're going to make us wait,
shit on Steve Kerr.
Yeah, talk some shit, Jason Tatum. You won. The summer of your life. Talk more shit in the media. I think that's fun. Moving on to the X-Man, Sir Javier Tillman Sr.
Got to hit those corner threes. That's gonna be the name of the game for this man. 26% in his career from 3, 24% last season.
An underrated moment from the finals.
Yep.
Game 3 was a blast. I'll just keep on remembering back to Game 3. Some of the most fun there was just right until they almost blew the entire game. But like before that was some of the most fun I've had watching basketball.
But even that produced such a fine Deuce Tatum moment.
Oh yes, because he was absolutely right.
We almost lost.
Forgot about that. They were looking at it like, shut up, Deuce.
It was the perfect comedic timing, the perfect delivery. it was just amazing from Deuce. Like just humor beyond his years in that moment.
He was 22% on corner threes, just as B-Rob said. 64% of his threes came from the corner. That's where he's going to hang out. That's where he's going to knock down shots. Or I don't know if he's going to knock them down, but it would be nice if he hit threes.
Yeah, this one's tough. Just finding ways to contribute offensively. Like, he was such an offensive zero when he was on the court. Like, wasn't finishing, wasn't he just their offense never looked worse than it did with Xavier Tillman on the court a lot of the time. And so maybe it was just, he came in, didn't know how to find his way after coming in from Memphis, was kind of trying to figure things out.
He only played 20 games, so I guess that's still a quarter of the season, but you're right.
Yeah, but because the defense is so good. The defense is so valuable. And, I mean, he racks up steals. He racks up blocks. He can switch on to Luka or Kyrie. Like, it's crazy valuable to have a big man like that, or two in the Celtics case with Al Horford as well. But you got to do enough offensively to make it worth their while to have you on the court. And maybe he'll just stay a curveball, somebody who you call on if you really need some defensive, some switchability or whatever. But while Kristaps is out, there's a real opportunity for him to step in and become part of the rotation. But last year, Luke Cornett was just a much better offensive player. Like, he really was. He was a better finisher. He was a better offensive rebounder. Like, he knew how to play with the guys better. Like, there was just – so Tillman kind of has to just figure out a way offensively. And maybe it's just that he's a pretty, limited offensive player, and that's just who he is just a defensive specialist. But maybe it's make more threes. Maybe it's play more in the seams. I don't know, but there's got to be another, you can't hurt the flow of the offense every time you're out there.
Lonnie Walker.
Skip.
Just poise and decision making. Be a little bit more appropriately aggressive, I would say.
Learn about Maine.
That is an aggressive, ambitious man.
Get ready to learn down east, man. Jordan Walsh.
Learned about Maine. Jordan Walsh, find something.
Find something
beyond,
that you do.
Find out. Figure out exactly what you do here. What exactly do you do here? No, I mean, defensively, in theory, it should be what he does here.
He only played 9 games last year. He didn't do anything. And
Summer League would lead to believe that he probably won't be playing many more than that this year. Just offensively, just find something he does competently. I guess in the Jaden Springer mode of he obviously pie in the sky, you want him to be a 3-and-D guy. He did shoot okay in Maine. Obviously had a rough summer league, but now doing that in the preseason or just against NBA players is a whole different animal, and he's going to be kind of short on time if he doesn't do it this year, because that contract won't be guaranteed next year, and roster spots will be at a premium for this team. So it's really figure out what he does offensively at a competent level.
I think put on strength, get your body right, and become an absolute defensive monster. I think he could become just a game-changing defensive player. And eventually the offense will need to come around. Eventually he'll need to start making threes and finishing through contact, all that stuff. But for me, first, it's just get strong, get physical, and become a menace, defensive menace. I think he's capable of it. I think it's there, but obviously he's really young, and they picked him knowing that he would need some seasoning. But that to me is like, that's the way he can get on the floor, is just by being an awesome, awesome defender.
I still think even if he just does that and is still a nothing on offense, he's not.
On this team, sure, but eventually, like, they won't have an absolutely loaded roster. And there will be opportunity for somebody like that. Probably.
All right, the last player on the roster, another one I'm struggling with to figure out what he needs to improve, Derek White. Well, the first thing I get to come think was just like go to the finish at the rim more. Like, he's got a decent like float game. He's shot better from 2-point percentage like last year. Like, I think still was a little bit better, but he really doesn't get to the rim. He's not a high free throw guy. He's also just not the biggest dude out there. So like, I don't know if him attacking the rim is necessarily the right things if we're talking about rim reads, but I was just purely doing just a numbers dive. I thought he could just take more shots at the rim, but I feel like I'm nitpicking there.
It's good nitpick. Yeah, that's like it's a close to the Al Horford category of like, this is the
what do you say about a guy who does everything well?
Right. Get first team All NBA. Get first team defense.
Yeah, enough of the second team shenanigans.
The second team.
Be better. He had his best offensive season last year. Like, it's really hard to figure out how he could be like. I don't want to be a closed mindset guy, but can Derek White be an even better offensive player than he was last year?
Yes, but like, what skill exactly is
shoot 40% from three instead of just 39%? Like,
it's just more volume. Like, everything is efficient. He's taking 11 shots per game, and maybe he'll get some of that with Porzingis.
Maybe you need some of that. Peyton Pritchard, be more reckless.
Yeah, a little more ambitious to steal from Jays. That might be it. That might be whether it's getting to the rim or just.
So, I think it's not a Derek White thing, but I think the Celtics could probably stand to run more offense through Derek White in crunch time.
Demand the ball, Derek. Demand the fucking ball.
Like, he should just be part of so much, just because every time he's part of everything, just good stuff happens. Often great stuff. And so that's not even a Derek White thing. But it's hard to sit here and be like, what should Derek White improve? He was good at literally everything.
We're not going to answer this question now, but I just wanted to put it out in the ether so we can think about it. Start thinking about it now. I saw this on Celtics Reddit. Who's more important to the Celtics now, Derek White or Marcus Smart? Maybe not important, but who should fans care about more, Derek White or Marcus Smart? Don't answer it. Don't answer it, Jay. We're going to debate it in the future. You're not a fan. You're one of these hoity-toity journalists who pretends they don't.
Fucking.
I said don't answer it now. Your don't count. I don't care what your opinion is. You have bad opinions when it comes to this stuff about being a fan. You may love basketball, but you're not a Celtics fan.
You care about the guy who just won you a fucking championship and is still on the fucking team.
Do I have multiple love and trust Derek White t-shirts? No, I do not.
That's because everyone understands that you love and trust him. It doesn't have to be said.
I don't have a Derek White bobblehead. I don't think it's as cut and dry as.
That's because they gave out the bobbleheads before Derek White was part of the squadron.
I'm just saying it's not as cut and dry as you say. And I also said, Jay, we're not going to have the debate now. We have to have this for a future episode. And so moving on quickly, surprise, final person we need to evaluate, Joe Mazzulla.
I think Jay
Is it timeouts? I feel like people are still going to be frustrated by the timeout things. What's the thing that people are still going to nitpick about Joe Mazzulla? I can
promise you this. Joe Mazzulla's timeout philosophy is the most thought out thing you could think of. And if you think he should have called a timeout, you're probably the idiot.
he turned it back around on you fans. You need to improve in your watching of the games. You need to get smarter.
You're probably he has explained it.
That's what Joe Mazzulla needs to improve is he needs to make Celtics fans smarter by getting them to stop questioning him. Now we're cooking with gas here.
It is very well thought out. Let's just put it that way. He's not just flying by the seat of his pants when he decides not to call a timeout. He knows exactly what the fuck he's doing.
We may or may not have walk through it in great detail. The Derek White crunch time point that Jay made, I think, is a good one. I think, but for the first, before the playoffs happened, that was the nitpick all year long, and I think the numbers bear it out. Is just you don't have to call the play for him, but getting him involved in whatever you're trying to do in those moments has generally led to good results. And I think the more of that, the better, since that will create good shots for him or Tatum or Brown or whoever else gets involved in those spots.
This isn't, I guess this is a Joe thing, but it's not like targeting one attribute of his, but more so the challenge of the coming season. I just think there's going to be a lot of, not issues, but like it takes a special mindset to repeat. It takes a special mindset to get to the mountaintop and no longer have all of the motivation that you had before and just do it again and have the same attitude, the same energy, the same enthusiasm every day that you did the previous year. So he has to kind of tackle that and find a way to get them to play such team first, like hard-nosed basketball on a daily basis all over again. And then I think with Jalen and Jason, not getting them back on the same page, but like making sure that what happened over the summer doesn't force them to do too much individually. Like the Celtics were as great as they were because those guys sacrificed themselves for the betterment of the team. And I think both of them thought, if I do this, I'm going to get rewarded individually. And then Jalen did not make the USA team, and Tatum got a DMPCD, kind of got embarrassed on the USA team. And so quickly they found out, like, all the love they thought they would get, all the respect they thought they were going to get, it just didn't materialize, or hasn't really materialized entirely the way they probably anticipated. So it would be easy to stray from what got them the title and go after that respect instead. And I think that's going to be a challenge. Maybe it's not. Maybe those guys are just so committed to winning championships and just doing it all over again that it won't matter, and they'll still stay focused on all the right things like they did last season. But just from a human perspective, it would be so easy to just kind of try to do a little bit more individually because of the way people have discussed them and because of the way the Team USA experience went this summer.
I agree. I don't know how Joe's going to necessarily improve upon that, but I do think that's a factor in just finding new creative ways to galvanize the fellas and get that buy-in. Because I think the buy-in last year from Jason and Jalen especially was a major reason why, like, they were just really kind of bought into his message. And I don't know if Joe Mazzulla could be more of himself than he was last year, but I think lean into being more Joe Mazzulla. Maybe if he wore a bracelet that said, what would Joe Mazzulla do? And be more Joe Mazzulla, that will help improve the Joe Mazzulla effect. Good podcast.
Good place to stop.
Press the button. I'm done. Still Poddable, folks.
Still Poddable. Still Poddable. The Boston Celtics still Poddable. Still Poddable.
Oh, yeah.
Go down from eating and drinking and all that stuff.